We've got 3 new ones.
Sound a little excited, Jane.
Sound less excited, Roger.
Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel were the most powerful critics of all time.
The perfect matching of opposites.
Even though Roger wrote Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, Gene lived the life.
These were towering figures clashing. It was, I'm going to crush you.
You give Benji the Hunter a positive review.
That's totally unfair because you realize
they almost didn't care what anyone else thought as long as they could try to persuade the other.
This morning I confess that I am a sick person. 3 years ago, I felt a lump under my chin, and it turned out to be cancer.
Roger had an inner core made of steel.
You want to rest a little bit or work a little bit?
Ask Steve. He's the director.
He is a soldier of cinema who cannot even speak anymore, and he plows on. And that touches my heart very deeply.
As a film critic, he was somebody who gave life to new voices, gave life to new visions that reflected all the diversity of this nation.
He made it possible for a bigger audience, a wider audience, to appreciate cinema as an art form because he really loved films.
For me, the movies are like a machine that generates empathy. It lets you understand hopes, aspirations, dreams, and fears. It helps us to identify with the people who are sharing this journey with us.
So obviously, that is the story of Roger Ebert, Life Itself. It is coming out this week. And Roger Ebert, obviously I think he's a very interesting individual. Him and Siskel, they were two people that, epitomized what movie criticism really meant to me as a young person. I don't know if I always agreed with them, but I like guys that's got their own sort of slant on things. And there was an article that came out of his top movies, and there were some interesting movies that he had on that list for certain years that went against the mainstream to some extent. What's some of the funny things that about this man? I mean, he had his right thumb trademarked, and I'm assuming that's because of the thumbs up, thumbs down type of thing. And he began his life as a sports writer at age 15, and he tried to get into the Vietnam War and almost got in, but was told he was overweight and rejected. And he was only 26 years old, and he weighed 206 pounds at that time. This is just an interesting guy. To kind of get an idea of what he thought Goodfellas was the best movie that was ever made. He was definitely a legend among of legends, and it's just he was working right up until the end. He had the cancer on his jaw, and it's kind of sad to see that he and both Siskel left. They both got cancer. I think Siskel had a brain tumor. I wonder if it was all that movie watching in those theaters. You kind of wonder what was it? Was it an environmental thing that went on with those two fellas? But he's missed, and I actually want to see this because I enjoyed the things that he used to say. Okay, so that last movie was one that's in a limited release coming out on July 4th, Life Itself. This next movie I'm talking to you about is called Earth to Echo. This comes out on July 2nd because a lot of movies for the holiday weekend get a much earlier start. Earth to Echo is essentially a modern, to me, based upon the trailer, a little bit of a modern-day E.T. type story. Some kids find something, via their phone, something goes wacky on their phones, and they discover this little thing that, maybe you would call it a cross between maybe Short Circuit and E.T., because this little being has some amazing powers, and he's trying to get home, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that you can get. It's a nice little kids movie. It got mixed reviews in the theater. But it is opening this week, and it's got a nice long weekend, and I imagine it would be a good one that would be friendly enough to take the kids to. Next up is the comedy starring Melissa McCarthy, Tammy. Also features Susan Sarandon and Dan Aykroyd and a host of other people, Kathy Bates included. So essentially, Tammy has a bad day. She totals her car. She gets fired from a job. She finds her husband cheating on her when she gets home, and she sort of breaks. She breaks out of this this world and takes her boom box out and goes and runs off with her only option, her grandmother, who's played by Susan Sarandon. Looks like if you look at the trailer, they rob a bank, and you can already tell they're trying to give the money back. So you can almost see the entire arc of this movie in it. Not that I think that really matters, because all of that would be mostly predictable out of it before you get into it. It's got some comedy a la a Melissa McCarthy type comedy. Various elements where they make fun of her being heavy in various ways, trying to jump over a counter in a fast food joint, her pretending that she's running away from the cops, to very poor effect. But I'm not giving you anything that the trailer doesn't give you in the 2 minutes, and I think that it encompasses all that you're going to get from it. If you want some sort of mindless, sort of fun activity, this is opening. This opened on July 2nd to wide release in the United States, and to some extent will probably do fairly well at that. So the final movie in a wide release is Deliver Us from Evil. This stars the main character here is Eric Bana, and he's got Edgar Ramirez. Basically, it's when a New York police officer, Ralph Sarchi, who's played by Eric Bana, begins to investigate a series of disturbing and inexplicable crimes, he joins forces with an unconventional priest, Edgar Ramirez, schooled in the rituals of exorcism to combat the frightening and demonic possessions that are terrorizing their city. So this is another horror movie that's coming out. It got, at best, mixed reviews, but that's fairly common for most horror flicks. I will say, for my own liking, I am not tremendously fond of exorcism-type movies. They're all almost virtually the same to some extent. They use the same techniques and etc. However, it looks like it was pretty well shot. It's going to have some of those... if you're into that style of horror, then they've done it well. And obviously, with Eric Bana and Edgar Ramirez, they've got a budget, and it's going to have some good effects at the very least. I think the story will be just another exorcism story. I'd love to see some more original stuff in the world of original, well done stuff in the world of horror. This one, I think it's just going to be another also ran. But if you like it, I'd say go for it. And with that, folks, we're coming up to the close of another weekly movie rundown. This is a time of patriotism, and you should get out there and have a barbecue and enjoy your freedom as an American. You can catch this podcast on iTunes, on Spreaker, on Stitcher, and you can hear it live, sort of live, on the second unit on Mixlr, as well as the second unit on SoundCloud. For this week, we're signing out.